back. You're back. Hey, we back. Welcome everyone to this episode on the Ultimate Sports TV. Guys, this is part 2 of many of my NFL tier listing positional rankings for the season review of the 2021 or 2020 through 2021 NFL season. And in this video, I'm going to be tier listing the top over 32 NFL wide receivers in the league by tier listing them. But before I get into tier listing these NFL wide receivers, please make sure you subscribe to the Ultimate Sports TV, because if you are not subscribed, you're missing out on so much, people, because this is the hot spot. Get lots and lots of hot from the Ultimate Sports TV spot with NBA and NFL content. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and join the TUSTV squad. Then when you're done with that, like this video for me, share this video and YouTube channel, then comment down below your top 10 NFL wide receivers in the comment section below the pinned comment called "What is your top 10 NFL wide receivers?" Guys, now let's get into tier listing these NFL wide receivers for the previous NFL season. All right, people of the world, first we're going to start with Deandre Hopkins, and he is going to go in the top 5 tier. In my opinion, he is the best wide receiver in all of football, guys. He really has everything you want in a wide receiver. He has some speed. He's one of the best route runners in the league. He has the best hands in the league, and he has a ridiculous catch radius, which basically makes him unguardable, guys. And he really elevated Kyler Murray's game this year, and we saw how bad the Texans were without him this year. They went from 11-5 last year to 4-12 this year without DeAndre Hopkins. He is the best wide receiver in all of football. You talk about Tyreek Hill, Devonte Adams, Stefan Diggs, or Michael Thomas is the best wide receivers in the NFL. But really, DeAndre Hopkins has all the skills. He has some of the height. He has the route running. He has the catch radius. He has the hands, and he has some speed. He is the best wide receiver in the league. Next, we're going to go on to Tyreek Hill, and he really showed us this year that speed kills a defense, really, because we look back on that game versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He really just spreaded the Chiefs offense out, and he put up ridiculous numbers all season long. He really just opens up the Chiefs' whole offense when you think about it to a certain extent, because if you have a guy that can stretch the field and everybody's worried about him, that they're triple teaming him, then it really sets up the whole offense, especially for the Chiefs, where they have Patrick Mahomes who can really spread the ball out, but also knowing that you have Travis Kelce in that offense to go along with Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes. So Tyreek Hill, I think he's the second best wide receiver in all of football. He'll go in the top 5 tier. Now, Marques Brown, he's an average wide receiver. He's not a bad wide receiver, but he really had a down year. He's another reason of why Lamar Jackson just does not have wide receivers. He's really inconsistent. He can't get separation sometimes, but he's also a guy that can really say that speed kills, because a lot of times when he's running downfield, he can make some plays. The problem is he just has stone hands, and he's always dropping balls, and he's not consistent. Marques Brown's a great speedy wide receiver and can burn you downfield, get you some big plays, but the problem with him is that he's inconsistent and he doesn't want to hold on to the ball. He is a good wide receiver, though. He'll go in the average wide receiver tier. Now, Allen Robinson, he was elite this year. I think he's always been elite, and if he didn't get hurt, we'd be talking about Allen Robinson in a different way, and right now I think he's underrated. How can you play with some of the worst quarterbacks in the league in Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky, not one of the worst, but not great quarterbacks, and still put up some great numbers? He's done it his whole career. He's had Blake Bortles as his quarterback. He's had Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles as his quarterbacks, but yet Allen Robinson still plays well. He's still putting up some career numbers. That's what's so incredible about him. He can lead a receiving core, a whole receiving core in numbers, still do awesome without having a good quarterback. And that's what I like about Allen Robinson, because his size separates him from a lot of guys. He can jump up and get those contested balls, and he has some great hands. So he'll go in the elite tier, and I think he's really underrated. Now, another guy that's underrated is Keenan Allen. I'll put him in the elite tier. I think he is terrifically underrated. His route running is really separates him from a lot of receivers in this league. I love his route running, because although he does not have that speed that a lot of guys have, his route running will kill you. He doesn't need the speed. His route running is there, and he's another guy that really has some great hands and can make those contested catches. I really like what Keenan Allen is, and I feel like people need to put some more respect on Keenan Allen's name. He'll go in the elite category. All right, now we're moving on to Odell Beckham Jr. I'll put him in the elite category. When he's healthy, he's definitely up there and even arguably a top 5 wide receiver, but he hasn't been healthy lately. I'm not going to put him in the top 5. And when you're not healthy and you don't have a quarterback that has played consistent over time, you're not going to put up monster numbers. Although Baker Mayfield has improved, and I think him and Odell Beckham Jr. will have amazing seasons next year, Odell and Baker just haven't been there, and that's definitely affected Odell Beckham Jr.'s production. I don't think he needs to get traded, and I don't think he will get traded, but he is still an awesome talent. He has everything you want in a wide receiver. He just needs to stay healthy. Odell will go in the elite tier, and I do think he'll improve a lot next year coming off of an injury. And there were several reports that Odell is about 30 to 25% ahead of his rehab and his ACL rehab to going into next season, guys. So that's great news on Odell. He'll go in the elite tier. Adam Thielen, he's a good wide receiver. I'll put him in the stars tier. He's a great guy. I think he really helped Justin Jefferson's development this year. He really took some double teams off of Justin Jefferson because Justin Jefferson got a lot of double teams this year if you really look at the tape. But Adam Thielen, really good wide receiver. I think he's a great route runner. He's a good deep threat. Adam Thielen, he'll go in the star tier. CeeDee Lamb, he's a good wide receiver. He's still a rookie. He didn't put up a 1,000-yard season, so I'm not going to put him in the stars tier, but CeeDee Lamb has a lot of promise. He'll go in the good tier. Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr.'s best friend, he is a star. He's a star wide receiver. This year, he wasn't that healthy. He had a 800 to 900 yards this season, so he wouldn't put up a 1,000-yard season because he was not healthy this whole season. He had hip issues. He had rib issues, but Jarvis Landry was still a terrific leader emotionally and physically for the Browns this year in their receiving core. He'll go in the stars tier. Devonte Adams, I think he's the third best wide receiver in all of the league. He will go in the top 5 tier. He's really been Aaron Rodgers' security blanket this whole time, and I applaud him for that, while being one of the guys that really cannot be guarded. He has a ridiculous catch radius, and with that, he has terrific size and terrific hands. That's what I like about Devonte Adams, is that he really can get separation, and no matter if a guy's not separated from him, he's still going to catch it, and he's really Aaron Rodgers' security blanket because of that, and because the Packers really have no other really effective wide receivers for Aaron Rodgers. So Devonte Adams will go as a top 3 wide receiver in the top 5 tier. Michael Thomas, he's an elite wide receiver. He definitely had a down year, but because he was injured, but when he is healthy, we all know he's a top 3 to top 6 wide receiver in the NFL. We'll see how he does without Drew Brees next year, because that's a large question that a lot of us have about Michael Thomas, is can he do it without Drew Brees throwing him those short, medium routes, and can he really go long? But he has great hands. He's a great route runner. He'll go in the elite tier. Stefan Diggs is a guy I was very fond of this year. In my mind, he is the 5th best wide receiver in the league. We'll see who's 4th after I get from Stefan Diggs, but he had a really great season. He elevated Josh Allen's game, because when you man those guys, they really killed you. If you played man defense versus Stefan Diggs and Josh Allen, you were going to get killed because they were that good going downfield. No matter if it was a short route, deep route, or medium route, they were going to kill you. And that's what I liked about Stefan Diggs. He was an awesome deep threat, and his really skills were really able to be utilized this year with a quarterback who was able to throw deep and really in a system that he was allowed to really prosper in. So Stefan Diggs will go there. Deontay Johnson, he's a good wide receiver. I think he did well this year. Mike Evans, an underrated wide receiver. He'll go in the elite tier in front of Odell, in front of Michael Thomas. He really had kind of a down year. He had 1,000 yards this year, but he's still an elite receiver. He was injured at times this season. He'll go in the elite tier. DK Metcalf, I think he gets some disrespect sometimes just from some people. I don't think he needs to be compared to Megatron, Calvin Johnson, but he is an awesome receiver. His size, he's just a big dude. I've never stood around him, but if I did, I'm pretty sure I'd be awed, and that's really separates him from a lot of guys. Is he's big, he's got the hands, he's an amazing route runner. You really can't keep up with him because he also has the speed. Speed kills, and so does that size, and that really makes DK Metcalf scary. And another guy that also has that case is A.J. Brown. Those guys are best buds, and A.J. Brown really has the same skill set. He just needs to be more consistent. I like his play this year. Michael Gallup, he's a good wide receiver. He's a good number 2 wide receiver. He benefits from a lot of double teams from Amari Cooper, but I really like Michael Gallup as a deep threat also. Chase Claypool, he had a good year. He's a good wide receiver. Tyler Lockett, he's a star wide receiver. Chris Godwin, he was hurt a lot this year. I still think he's a star wide receiver, though. Let me arrange this around. I think I got that the right way. I like those. Cooper Kupp, he is a star wide. I might put him in. No, I'll keep him in star for right now. Cooper Kupp, he was really a security blanket for Jared Goff, but I'll put him in the star tier for wide receivers. Go ahead and clear out some guys from here. Will Fuller, he's a good wide receiver. He was pretty good this year. A great deep threat for Deshaun Watson. He just had to stay consistent. Cole Beasley had a great year. I think he's a star wide receiver. I think he made an NFL All-Pro team. He was really great this year. One of the best small guy wide receivers of all time. Robbie Anderson, he had a great year. I think he's a star wide receiver. He had 1,000 yards. He's another speedy guy. Robert Woods, I think he is... Robert Woods, he's a good wide receiver. He's been good for the past few years. I think he just needs to stay a bit more consistent. I think he really benefits off of the double teams that Cooper Kupp get. But he's a really good wide receiver. I think I'm gonna put him. I'll put Robert Woods in star. Tyler Boyd, I think he's a good wide receiver. I think he'll lead the good tier no matter who goes there. Juju Smith-Schuster, he's an average wide receiver. I don't really like him. His antics are really bad. He's a good route runner, but he doesn't know how to hold on to the ball at times, and he can really disturb the way a team goes. He's an average wide receiver. His play really dropped this year, and he really proved that he's a number 2 wide receiver. DJ Moore, I think I really liked his play the past few years. I think he'll go at the bottom of the star tier. Mike Williams, he's emerging as a good wide receiver. I think he'll be at the star tier by the end of next year. When I do this again, I'll put Mike Williams in the good tier. Now let's start getting serious with this all. Julio Jones, to me, is the 4th best wide receiver in all of the NFL. I'll put him in the top 5 tier. He was hurt a lot this year, but we still know that Julio Jones is one of the hardest players to game plan for in all of the league, all of football, guys. He may not have the speed, but he has that toe drag swag. He has the catch. He has incredible hands. He's got the size. His size just, it's mind-blowing. It really kills a lot of guys on defense. Julio Jones, we know who he is. Although he did have a down year because he was injured, he's still a top 5 wide receiver in my mind. Brandon Cooks, he had a pretty nice year. He had a 1,000-yard season. He's a good wide receiver. Kenny Golladay, he was hurt a lot this season, but he's still a star wide receiver. Calvin Ridley, a guy who I think is a top 10 wide receiver. When Odell is injured, I think he's better than Odell when Calvin Ridley is healthy, but he really emerged as a number 1 receiver this year. While Julio Jones was out most of the year, Calvin really had a ridiculous season. He had 1,300 yards. I just really loved what I saw from Calvin Ridley this year. I liked his speed this year. He was great at route running, and he was really Matt Ryan's security blanket. I liked what he did to step up this year and really prove that he was a number 1 wide receiver. Now, Justin Jefferson, I think he is an elite wide receiver. I almost put him in the star tier, but when you're a rookie and you garner double teams as we see on tape from Justin Jefferson, and you still put up 1,400 yards with a quarterback that is just average in an offense that has a run game that is really surrounded by Dalvin Cook, and you're a run-heavy offense, Justin Jefferson still puts up 1,400 yards. As a rookie, I think that is mind-blowing. I think he is set to be a top 5 or maybe the best wide receiver in the league one day. I really love what I saw from Justin Jefferson this year, knowing that he is a rookie, knowing what offense that he is in, knowing that he garnered double teams. I really like what I saw from Justin Jefferson. Now, Terry McLaurin, I think a guy that doesn't get enough notice because he is in Washington where he doesn't have a lot of great quarterbacks. He's an elite wide receiver, guys. I think Terry McLaurin is an elite wide receiver. He has some speed. I think with the quarterbacks he's played with, Dwayne Haskins, Alex Smith, not the most consistent guys right now in their careers. Terry McLaurin has still balled out. And our last guy, Amari Cooper, he is a star wide receiver. I'd like to see some more consistency from him. He's a great route runner and has some great hands, guys. But take a look at my wide receiver tier list, guys, of 2020 through 2021. My top 5 wide receivers are DeAndre Hopkins, Tyreek Hill, Devonte Adams, Julio Jones, Stefan Diggs, and then my bottom 5, 6 wide receivers are Allen Robinson, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Michael Thomas, and DK Metcalf, and Odell would be in there when he is healthy, guys. But that is my wide receiver tier list 2020 through 2021, guys. I got a lot more tier list positional rankings coming up next. Next up is the running back position, guys. But this is Malik Hicks, aka the Ranker of the Ultimate Sports TV, signing off. Peace out, and I'll see you in my next one. And comment down below your top 10 wide receivers.